Could theme parks be throwing out face mask mandates? Walt Disney World is seeing an increase in capacity and will continue to raise the ceiling. We're also taking a look at Disneyland Resort reopening a series of restaurants, and on top of that, a mention of the new annual passholder or loyalty program. That's right, it's time for a Disney Parks news update covering Disney Parks from coast to coast. Hello everybody, it's Wade Heath for the Kingdom Report, joining you once again for all the latest headlines and trending news topics, bringing them all together for you here in one place. Let's get started. Gabrielle Roussan of the Orlando Sentinel reports that Walt Disney World has lifted its attendance capacity beyond its previous self-imposed 35% limit, although company CEO Bob Chapek didn't disclose by how much, as the theme park significantly loosened their COVID safety rules. Chapek didn't specify when people could stop wearing masks at the Orlando parks, but called the new CDC guidelines, which says fully vaccinated people can go maskless in most places, quote, big news for Disney. Especially with summer coming, he appeared to be hinting changes could be coming very soon. Saying, quote, anybody who has been in Florida in the middle of summer with a mask on, well, that can be quite daunting. So we think that's going to make for an even more pleasant experience, close quote. Chapek said this on an earnings call Thursday, which disclosed Disney's theme parks are still taking the biggest financial hit within the company. Continuing by saying, quote, you're going to see an immediate increase in the number of folks that we're able to admit into our parks through our reservation systems that we recently implemented. So we're very, very excited about that, close quote. Chapek said Disney decided to raise capacity limits after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released new guidelines Thursday and after earlier conversations with Governor Ron DeSantis. The CEO's updates come after Disney World said this week on its app that it's starting to phase out social distancing from 6 feet to 3 feet in some places. With the theme parks rebounding, Chapek said the theme parks are, quote, bringing back a lot of people back to work. That is going to be an even bigger catalyst for growth and attendance, close quote. During the pandemic, the company laid off 32,000 people, including at least 18,000 in Central Florida, according to last year's state filings. Some experts had warned it could be a challenge for Disney's reopening if large numbers of employees found new jobs elsewhere. In Orlando, some restaurants and other businesses are struggling to hire enough employees. But Chapek said it's not the case at Disney. Quote, we've had about 80% of our cast members return that we've asked to return, Chapek said. We've had no problems whatsoever in terms of trying to get our cast to come back and make some magic for our guests, close quote. Thursday's second quarter earnings report showed revenue fell 44% to $3.2 billion compared with last year's quarter for the division covering theme parks. The pandemic has docked Disney's cruise ships, and Disneyland Paris and California's Disneyland were closed for the entire second quarter. Speaking of Disneyland, we jump out to the West Coast, where Deadline is reporting that, obviously, Disneyland reopened in limited fashion in April, initially for California residents only, joining a nearly complete roster of reopened Disney parks and resorts, as we just mentioned, the lone exception to that being Disneyland Paris, which remains closed indefinitely. Disney CEO Bob Chapek had no updated outlook on when it might be able to return to action during a quarterly earnings call. But Chapek did say that research on consumers', quote, intent to visit a Disney park has been encouraging. Levels of the metric for Disney World are, quote, growing and are flat with 2019, he said. And Disneyland levels are also on the rise, saying, quote, as capacity limits increase, we don't think we're going to have any problem at all increasing our attendance to match that capacity, he added. It's not something that keeps us up at night. The company has been at or near the reduced capacity attendance levels mandated by state authorities in California and Florida. Executive Chairman Bob Iger, who passed the CEO baton to Chapek in February 2020, quit an economic recovery task force established by California Governor Gavin Newsom. Chapek last November ripped Newsom's reluctance to give Disneyland the green light to reopen, despite their proven track record saying that the state was decimating small businesses. Once again, our thanks to Deadline for that story. We turn our attention elsewhere inside the Disneyland Resort for all things dining. As the Disney Parks blog says, we hope you are hungry for more Disneyland restaurant openings. As we continue to reopen our dining locations, they say, we will update a dining guide giving you one source to find which restaurants are open or soon to open. They say they're excited to announce the latest restaurants to join the reopening list. The Alfresco Tasting Terrace at Disney California Adventure, opening May 20th exclusively for Legacy pass holders and their guests. Online reservations become available for that on May the 18th. Blue Bayou Restaurant in New Orleans Square at Disneyland Park is opening May the 27th. Online reservations there are available starting May 18th. The Napa Rose Restaurant at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, opening May the 28th for dinner only, with online reservations becoming available also on May the 18th. Right next door, Storytellers Cafe at the Grand Californian, opening May the 28th for breakfast and dinner, but no characters will be there at this time. Online reservations for that also become available May the 18th. And to round up the Grand Californian Hotel dining experience right now, the Craftsman Bar will have online reservations available to you as well, beginning May the 28th. So, roster of options coming back online at the Disneyland Resort for dining, which is fantastic news. More steps in the right direction for all things food. And as a reminder, if you're visiting the theme parks at Disneyland, using mobile order is probably the best way to go. Doing it early is probably even more important, as we've learned on recent visits, as that mobile order window around those lunch periods and dinner periods can often be very demanding, and the windows can get pushed out significantly to the point that you're not eating for another couple of hours. So make sure to log your food orders when you first arrive in the morning and plan out your day. It'll save you a lot of time. No doubt you just heard me mention an exclusive dining option for Legacy pass holders at Disney California Adventure. Everybody is wondering what the annual pass holder program is going to look like when it is introduced once again in its new format, in its new ways, as the Disneyland Resort president Ken Potrock mentioned just about a month ago that they do intend to have an annual pass holder program back in action by the end of 2021. However, there might be some insight as to what that really looks like now. Our friends at themeparktourist.com report the following, saying earlier this year, Disney announced that it was completely canceling Disneyland's annual pass holder program, citing the resort's continued closure and uncertainty about reopening conditions as reasons for the cancellation of this program. However, recent comments by Disney CEO Bob Chapek seem to indicate that the real issue was inconsistent per-guest spending among Disneyland Resort annual pass holders. In an effort to, quote, get an adequate return to our shareholders for the type of experience that we do give to our guests, Chapek said that a new park loyalty and affinity program was being designed for Disneyland Resort. That would be a, quote, frequent visitor program, close quote, encouraging multiple visits from local guests. No details were given about this new program or when it might debut, but those hoping for something similar to the former annual pass program at Disneyland unfortunately seemed to be out of luck, as this program was simply not profitable enough for Disney to continue. New annual passes continued to be unavailable for purchase at Walt Disney World as well, but since capacity increases have been announced, we'd expect Disney to resume selling annual passes on the East Coast again in the very near future. Once again, our thanks to themeparktourist.com for that write-up. So there you have it. A lot of questions around why the annual pass holder program had been removed in the first place. We'd heard various versions as to why it had been sunsetted to begin with. Over 1 million people took part in the annual pass holder program for Disneyland theme parks. And so knowing that we are in a situation where those 1 million people are sort of on the outside now and nobody has access the way that they used to, makes for a very interesting environment. No doubt Disneyland Park, California Adventure Park, upon returning, have had very low crowds, very limited attendance, not just due to the capacity restraints placed on the parks through reservations, but also that million-plus demand just really isn't there unless they want to spend $100+ a pop just to get into the theme parks. So potentially we're going to see that stick around through the remainder of the year, and then towards the end, the loyalty program, as they're calling it, will debut. What do you imagine this loyalty program is going to have? How many restrictions do you think it's going to put in place on what many consider to be the most loyal of annual pass holders from before? We'd be interested to hear your perspective in the comments. Also, how long do you think we are going to see face masks inside Disney theme parks moving forward? Lots happening right now. Lots of major movements by not only the CDC, but Disney parks, especially on the East Coast, reducing a lot of the social distancing markers, reducing a lot of the mask mandates as they used to be known, and relaxing many of the rules that were in place. It seems like just a matter of time now before we see a maskless Disney parks population once again. But we'll leave that question up to you as well. You let us know in the comments. Are you comfortable with the idea of visiting a Disney theme park in 2021 without a face mask mandate? It could be coming. We will certainly see. We're all waiting with anticipation to, of course, move on with our lives and get back to a sense of normalcy. And this is one more major step in that direction, with fully vaccinated people being able to do so. Very excited to see the theme parks get back in action the way they used to be. Well, my friends, that about wraps up this round of Disney Parks news headlines and trending topics. We want to thank you for joining us and being a part of our news magic today. As always, so much content that we create on this channel just for you. We do recommend that you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we have a breaking story or something new for you from the parks. In addition to that, if you've liked what you've heard, if you appreciate what we do, make sure to give us a big thumbs up. That always is appreciated on our end as well. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We'll see you next time for another Disney Parks News Update.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.